Tommy Daniels here for Around the ECHL, brought to you by True by Hilton, one of our great partners this year. And joining me is a long-time friend and great broadcaster in this league for many years with the Wichita Thunder, the great Jason Mouse. Now, I know you're a Blackhawks fan, so I'm very confused about the New York Rangers banner behind your head.
Well, to give you perspective, it's not my blankets. It is Ed Bailey's, who I am now living with, him and his mom. He is our team photographer. To make a long story short, COVID has forced me into trying to watch my finances, and he offered for me to live with him for a little bit to save some money. So he's a Rangers fan. I am not. I apologize for the Rangers logo behind me.
No, it's funny. I had to give you grief about that. You knew that it was coming. Well, how are you? First of all, I mean, I know it's been a rough off season for all of us. It ended in March and finally started to play some hockey. But how are you and Hannah doing?
You know, we're doing our best. You're finally back to work. Over the summer, we were furloughed like a lot of people were. Unfortunately, it was just the nature of the pandemic and everything going on. But I think we've been able to adjust. She's now doing mostly remote learning, which is a little frustrating for kids these days. I know they'd rather be in school around their friends, but she's been able to make the best of it, which I think we both are. Other than that, trying to get ready for this weekend, playing you guys 3 games in 3 nights. So it's not been ideal. I know it's been hard on a lot of different people, but we're making the best with the situation and trying to be positive.
How do you do your job these days, Miles? Because for us broadcasters, I mean, we're around the guys all the time. You need interviews, videos, whatever we do in today's world with social media. And it's a big challenge, here in Allen too, when we're trying to, get interviews done on game day and what have you, and you can't be around the players. How are you managing things there?
I was messaging some of the other radio guys on Saturday night after the game, and I got to tell you, Tommy, I feel so disconnected this season from the team as opposed to other seasons. You mentioned how we're normally around the players, being able to do interviews face to face, and now we got to do them electronically, which is, obviously something that we got to do to make best of the situation. But unfortunately, it's just, in my opinion, harder to get to know the guys, learn some of their ins and outs, the different stories about each player without talking to them and getting to know them personally. And it's not right. a thing of, trying to be close to the players. It's just, as just being around the guys on the bus and talking to them, then you get to use some of that info on the broadcast. It's just, it just doesn't feel the same as it normally does.
Yeah, no doubt. One of the great things about traveling around the league is getting to see some of your good friends, and obviously you're my best friend in this league, and we go way back, and not being able to go out and have a Pepsi with you the night before a game, or you coming down here. Heck, you've stayed at my place when you come down for games. It's a little different, and it's something that I'm dealing with. I know you are too, but it really has been a challenge this year to try and like you say, get to know the guys. Because after 2 road trips, after 2 long bus trips, those guys, right? They know who you are. They trust you. They come to you for, scoring changes or they need help with buying a car in town somewhere. They come to the PR guy, the broadcaster. We're kind of their everything. And if you don't know these guys, it's hard to do that part of the job.
Definitely. It's interesting you say that, because typically I'll get a message from our player assistant, and then right while we're getting to the bus, guys come up to me and they're like, "Hey, I think I had an assist on this." And I'm like, "No, you got to go talk to Stephen Fournier about it." But one of the players said that he thought he had an assist on a goal instead of another guy on Saturday night, and I had to make the change. But unfortunately, like you said, it just doesn't feel the same. Not being able to, like you said, go down and spent some time with some of the people that we're friends with around the league, not only you, but John in Kalamazoo, we were supposed to be able to see this year. And we were going to go to Toledo, and I think we had Fort Wayne coming to us this season. So it's just odd. And I know, again, we're trying our best to do what we can, but I think looking at the bright side, the thing that I keep trying to tell myself, and I'm sure you're doing the same, is, we could be one of those teams that is not playing. There's a ton of them around the league, and we should be fortunate that we are, in fact, having a season.
This is Jason Miles, the voice of the Wichita Thunder, joining us here on Around the ECHL. We do this every Tuesday, and we usually visit with the team we'll be playing this weekend, which is Wichita. As a matter of fact, 3 games in a row, New Year's Eve, January 1 and 2nd, will be in Wichita. Get us up to date, Malzy, on your team. We know Wichita teams in the past. They were always very tough. We've had some great battles with you guys over the years, including the New Year's Eve brawl a few years ago. You and I will never forget that, because we were in the same booth watching that go down before pregame warmups ever even started.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because I was standing right next to you and Maurice, and I was going to start filming on social media with the teams coming out, and all of a sudden all heck broke loose. That was so crazy to watch. And I'll always kind of say this. I think the rivalry between Wichita and Allen, now maybe it hasn't been as good because of our success since we joined the league, has not been where it has been. I know the 2 teams faced off against each other in the finals, but it reminded me a lot of Wichita and the Colorado Eagles. Those games were always competitive, very physical. The teams did not like each other at all. And it's very similar to the way it is with Wichita and Allen. In terms of our team this year, we're very young. I think we're even younger this year than we were last year. I think, have more skill this year than we did a year ago. I think we're deeper on the blue line than we were a year ago. Mitch Gillum has gotten off to a really good start in net for us. He's played really well the first 2 games. We did get a couple of players loaned to us from the Toronto Marlies.
Oh, wow.
Which, they came in the week after we played on December 11th. Now, of course, we didn't play for 15 days. So 2 games is really not a good sample size to see how our team is going to turn out. But it was encouraging to see 3 of the 4 rookies that played the other night ended up scoring goals in their debut. So I'm very intrigued to see how the team starts to gel. Like I said, I think we're deeper all the way around, but we are a little bit younger in that respect.
Jason Miles, the voice of the Wichita Thunder, Around the ECHL every Tuesday, and of course on all the Allen American social media channels. We talked about the brawl briefly, and it made me think of Dyson Stevenson, who was on the other side when that went down the last time. I remember, Dalton and Josh Thrower and Dyson, and I mean, it got intense. And how things have changed, and now Dyson's back in Allen again, and the Americans have a very, very good team assembled this year. But something about we can play Tulsa a million times, we can play Rapid City, but there's just always something different when Wichita comes to town, even if the records aren't where we'd like them to be. And I know we had a couple seasons where things weren't where we wanted them here in Allen. High expectations from our fan base, and they should, with the team only missing the playoff 1 time, in the 11 years of the team. It's just, what is it? I mean, what's your feeling on the Allen Wichita rivalry? Why has it been so much fun? And why everybody, they circle that on the calendar when the schedule comes out. When's the first time the Thunder are coming to town? I'm sure vice versa with your fans as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. It doesn't really matter what the personnel is either. I mean, I know we faced off in the finals with you guys winning in overtime in that Game 7 of the Central Hockey League, and that was, can you believe it, almost 8 years ago?
Hard to believe.
But it seems like it doesn't really matter who's left on each team each year. There's just a hatred back and forth. And again, no matter what the records are, and having Dyson go back to you guys, I think adds a little fuel to that fire. Now he hasn't been here for a couple of years, but he was loved here as well as he was loved by you, and the fans really love his grit and the way he plays the game. So in regards to the team that we have this year, we've got a couple of players that can play that tough game. Matthew Gagnon is a guy that I'm sure you remember from his days in Florida, and he can play that physical game just like Jacob Graves, Stephen Fournier, and Sean Allen. So I think there's going to be some of that animosity between the two teams again when they face off on New Year's Eve.
Last thing for you, Miles, and you guys are fortunate now to have some fans in the building, and I saw your press release that went out on Monday because I know some of our fans are going to want to drive up there for New Year's Day or January 2nd. So get us up to speed on that and where things stand now with fans attending games at the Intrust Bank Arena.
Yeah, we announced today that the capacity went up from 11% to 15%. Unfortunately, this area has gone into the red in terms of the spread of COVID, and they've been extremely careful about what's going on. The health administration, the doctor here is wanting to be as cautious as possible, and so he's trying to limit the amount of exposure people are in an indoor building at this time of year. So we're allowed around 1,900 fans starting on January the 1st, and that will be reevaluated coming on January the 10th, which is when the current health order ends up coming and going. Now, I've been told that health order is going to be extended for a couple of weeks. We'll have to wait and see. It's been tough. I know that they're trying their best to alleviate the pressure and the stress on the healthcare people around the city, because there's not a huge amount of hospitals, and some of those ICU and emergency units are almost overflowed. So at any rate, I think we're very lucky to be getting fans in the first place. I know that Wichita State University said they were going to open with a limited amount of fans, and they got what I think it was like 5% capacity. They're only allowed 500 fans. Wow. So yeah, it's a little bit tighter up here than I think it is in other states like Florida, and hopefully the vaccines help, and people are taking the opportunity to get healthier, improve their immune systems and all that stuff, and be cautious and do what you can to try and slow the spread of this thing.
Well, as always, buddy, I appreciate you. Stay safe, you and Hannah, and the family, and we'll see you soon. Not soon enough. I wish I was traveling to Wichita for the games on January 1 and 2, but we'll be calling them from back here in Allen. And let me be the first to wish you a very happy New Year.